What if the next global war does not begin with explosions or missiles, but with something invisible, something silent, something that spreads without warning and leaves millions affected before anyone even realizes what is happening? This is not a scene from science fiction. This is a growing concern that experts around the world have been quietly discussing as technology advances and the nature of warfare continues to evolve. The idea of bioweapons is not new, but in 2026 it has taken on a completely different meaning. Modern science has reached a point where biological agents can be studied, modified, and potentially used in ways that were unimaginable just a few decades ago. And while there are international agreements that aim to prevent the use of such weapons, the reality is that knowledge cannot be erased and the possibility always exists. Around the world, laboratories are conducting research in genetics, virology, and biotechnology. Much of this work is done for positive reasons, such as developing cures and improving healthcare. But the same knowledge that can save lives can also be misused in dangerous ways, and this dual use nature of science creates a level of uncertainty that is difficult to ignore. Imagine a scenario where a harmful biological agent is released not in a dramatic attack but quietly in a crowded place or through a system that spreads it. Without immediate detection, there would be no loud warning, no visible sign at the beginning. Just a gradual increase in unusual illnesses, confusion among health systems, and a race against time to understand what is happening. One of the most concerning aspects of this kind of threat is how difficult it can be to detect in its early stages. Unlike traditional weapons that create instant impact, biological threats can remain hidden for days or even weeks. During that time, they can spread across cities and borders, carried by people who have no idea they are part of something much bigger. This changes everything about how conflicts can unfold because the battlefield is no longer limited to a specific location. It becomes global almost instantly, and the line between civilian and target becomes blurred in a way that challenges traditional ideas of warfare and defense. At the same time, governments and organizations are investing heavily in biosecurity, surveillance, and rapid response systems, trying to prepare for scenarios that are hard to predict and even harder to control. But preparation does not guarantee prevention, and the complexity of modern global systems means that even a small incident can have far-reaching consequences. There is also the challenge of information in a world connected by digital networks. News spreads quickly, but so does misinformation. In a situation involving a biological threat, confusion can become as dangerous as the threat itself. People may not know what to believe. Panic can spread faster than facts, and trust in institutions can be tested in ways that affect the overall response. Another layer to consider is how technology is lowering barriers that once limited access to advanced research tools. Techniques that were once restricted to highly specialized facilities are becoming more accessible, which raises questions about oversight, control, and the potential for misuse by individuals or groups outside traditional state structures. The concept of silent assassins is not just about the biological agents themselves, but about the way they operate, unseen, unpredictable, and capable of creating widespread impact without the need for conventional force. This creates a new kind of fear, one that is not based on visible destruction, but on uncertainty and the unknown. In such a world, the response to a threat is not just military. It involves healthcare systems, scientific communities, governments, and international cooperation working together under pressure to identify, contain, and neutralize something that cannot be seen with the naked eye. This could change everything you know about the future, because it shifts the focus from visible power to invisible influence, from physical strength to scientific capability, and from traditional battlefields to environments that are part of everyday life. There is also an ethical dimension to all of this, as societies must decide how to balance innovation with safety, how to encourage scientific progress while preventing its misuse, and how to create systems that protect people without limiting the benefits that research can bring. History has shown that every major advancement comes with risks and responsibilities, and the way those risks are managed often determines the impact on humanity in the long term. The challenge today is that the pace of advancement is faster than ever, and the consequences of failure could be more severe. As you think about the world today, consider how many systems we rely on that are interconnected: travel, trade, communication, healthcare. All of these can be affected by a biological event. And because of this interconnectedness, a local issue can quickly become a global concern. The question is not just whether such a scenario is possible, but how prepared the world is to handle it and what measures are in place to detect and respond before it reaches a critical level. This is where awareness becomes important. Understanding the nature of the threat is the first step in addressing it. At the same time, it is important to recognize that not every discussion about these topics means that something is about to happen. Sometimes it reflects a need to be cautious, to plan ahead, and to consider possibilities so that they can be prevented rather than reacted to. Still, the idea remains powerful. What if the next major conflict is already taking shape in ways that are not visible? What if the signs are there but are being overlooked because they do not fit the traditional image of war in a rapidly changing world? Where science and technology continue to push boundaries, the definition of security is evolving. And with it, the strategies needed to protect against emerging threats. The focus is no longer only on defending borders but on understanding risks that can cross those borders without any physical barrier. And if such a threat were to emerge, it would test not only the strength of nations, but the resilience of global systems. The ability to cooperate, share information, and act quickly would become more important than ever before. So as the world moves forward into an uncertain future, the concept of silent threats remains something that cannot be ignored, not because it is certain, but because it is possible. And in matters of global security, possibility is often enough to demand attention. And if the next major challenge does not arrive with noise or warning, but instead appears quietly spreading through the systems we depend on every day, the real question is not just how it will begin, but whether we will recognize it in time to stop it before it changes everything forever.